Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive? This time, we're tackling Super Bowl ticket prices. Are they really as sky high as everyone says?
It's definitely a hot topic every year. There's always that buzz about how much it costs to actually be there in the stadium.
Yeah, it seems like the price just keeps climbing, right?
You'd think so. But actually, this year, the average ticket price on StubHub is a bit lower than last year, around $8,076.
Really? That's about 14% lower, right? That sounds like good news for fans wanting to go.
It might seem that way at first glance, but keep in mind, that's still the second most expensive Super Bowl on record. If we look at the data going back to Super Bowl 54, it's clear that prices haven't exactly been trending downwards.
So even with a dip this year, it's still a serious investment to be there in person. Before we get into why, I just want to remind everyone, if you're liking this breakdown, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. It really helps us out. Now back to those prices. Why are tickets still so expensive, even with a little decrease this year?
Well, there are a few key factors at play. Location is a big one. Last year's game was in Vegas, and we all know Vegas is a huge draw, right?
Definitely. It's a tourist magnet, which probably drove up demand for everything, including those Super Bowl tickets.
Exactly. This year, it's in New Orleans, which is another popular destination, but it doesn't quite have the same pull as Vegas, so that might be contributing to the slightly lower prices.
Makes sense. So a slightly less hot location could mean slightly more reasonable ticket prices.
Yeah, that's part of it, but it's not the only reason. The teams playing this year are also a big deal. It's a rematch of Super Bowl 57 with the Chiefs taking on the Eagles again.
Oh yeah, I bet that's adding fuel to the fire. Eagles fans probably want revenge, and Chiefs fans are likely fired up for a potential three-peat win.
You got it. All that excitement and anticipation definitely plays into the demand, and when demand goes up, so do prices.
Speaking of those passionate fans, are they the ones mainly driving up the demand this year? Mostly Eagles and Chiefs fans? Or is there a wider mix?
Well, both StubHub and SeatGeek are saying that most of the out-of-state ticket buyers are coming from Pennsylvania. That tells us Eagles fans are definitely ready for round two.
I bet there's some serious energy building up for that rematch. What about Chiefs fans? Are they just as eager to see their team go for a historic third win in a row?
Oh, absolutely. StubHub actually said this is the highest demand they've ever seen for a Chiefs Super Bowl. Fans want to be there to witness history in the making.
So it sounds like the rematch is a major factor in those ticket prices. But even beyond these specific teams, have Super Bowl tickets always been this expensive? Is this a new trend, or has it been steadily climbing for a while?
They haven't always been this high, but if you look at the data from SeatGeek, it's definitely been a steady climb over the past few years.
That makes sense. The whole Super Bowl experience seems to get bigger and more extravagant every year. It's not just about the game anymore, right?
Exactly. It's a whole spectacle now, from the pre-game parties to the halftime show. It's all part of the package, and that definitely adds to the cost.
So even though we see a slight dip this year, the overall trend is still upward. It's interesting how the value of an experience, like going to the Super Bowl, can be influenced by so many things.
Absolutely. The Super Bowl is a perfect example of how an event can become so much more than just the event itself. It's a spectacle, a cultural phenomenon, and for some people, it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
And honestly, the price tag reflects all of that. The game itself, the atmosphere, the energy, the potential for a historical moment. Now, for anyone out there seriously thinking about going to the Super Bowl this year, is there a best time to buy tickets to try and get a slightly better deal?
There's definitely a strategy involved. Right after the conference championships, prices usually spike. Everyone's excited, demand is high, and sellers know it. But if you can be patient and wait a few days, maybe even a week, you'll often see prices dip a little as things settle down.
So patience is key, even with something as exciting as the Super Bowl.
Exactly. And whatever you do, avoid that last-minute rush. As the game gets closer, prices tend to shoot back up, desperation sets in, and people are willing to pay more just to be there.
So the takeaway is, start watching prices early, wait for a dip, and don't wait until the very last minute.
That's the smart game plan. And one more crucial thing, always buy from verified marketplaces. Super Bowl tickets are all mobile only now, so if anyone's trying to sell you a physical ticket, it's a scam.
That's such important advice. Thanks for sharing all this expertise with us.
Yeah?
And to everyone listening, if you're enjoying this breakdown of Super Bowl ticket prices, hit that subscribe button and give this video a like.
It's interesting, right, how the ticket prices tie into that whole idea of the Super Bowl being this huge cultural event. It's so much more than just the game on the field.
Yeah, it's become this phenomenon that people want to be a part of. Even if they can't be at the game in person, they still want to experience it somehow.
And that brings up a really interesting question. If you couldn't actually go to the Super Bowl, what would that experience be worth to you? How do we put a value on something like that?
That's a great point. Is it all about being there in the stadium? Or are there other ways to capture some of that Super Bowl excitement?
For a lot of people, it's about that shared experience of watching the game with friends and family. family, having some snacks, maybe a few drinks, a little friendly rivalry going on. That's all part of it.
Right, and for some, it might be about participating in all the online buzz, the conversations, the debates, the social media frenzy. It's a way to connect with others who share that same passion.
And then there's the historical aspect. Every Super Bowl adds a new chapter to the NFL's legacy.
That's true. It's like a living record of football history. And for some fans, being a part of that, even as a spectator, is incredibly valuable.
So those sky-high ticket prices, they reflect all of that. The Super Bowl is more than a game. It's an experience, a cultural event, a piece of history.
And as it keeps evolving and growing, it makes you wonder, will those ticket prices just keep going up? Or will we eventually hit a ceiling?
It's hard to say for sure, but one thing's certain, the Super Bowl will always be a hot ticket, and that demand will always factor into the price.
You're right about that. It really speaks to the power of sports, bringing people together, creating those unforgettable experiences, even if they come with a pretty hefty price tag.
For sure. And even with these rising prices, we're seeing a shift in how people access those tickets. The Super Bowl is going completely mobile only, which is a pretty big change.
It's something potential buyers definitely need to be aware of. No more physical tickets. Everything's digital now.
And while it might seem like a small detail, it has some important implications.
Like making sure you buy from verified sources. You definitely don't want to get scammed with fake tickets, especially at those prices.
And with mobile tickets, you got to make sure your phone is charged and working on game day. Imagine getting to the stadium and realizing your battery's dead.
That would be a nightmare. So if you're planning on using a mobile ticket, preparation is key.
Absolutely. And this isn't just a Super Bowl thing. It's a trend we're seeing across the board, Concerts, sporting events, all kinds of entertainment, digital tickets are becoming the norm.
It makes sense. It's more efficient, more secure, better for the environment.
Exactly. And it's only going to become more widespread. So whether you're thinking about the Super Bowl or any other big event, get ready for the digital ticket revolution.
It's definitely here to stay. Beyond the cost, beyond the logistics of even getting tickets, I think what really gets me about the Super Bowl is how it captures our collective imagination.
Totally agree. It's more than just football. It's woven into our culture. Even people who aren't huge football fans get caught up in the excitement.
It's true. You see it everywhere. The Super Bowl parties, the commercials, the conversations at work. Everyone's got an opinion on who's going to win, what the halftime show will be like.
Speaking of commercials, those have become a whole phenomenon in themselves. Companies pouring millions of dollars into a few seconds of airtime. That says a lot about the reach and impact of the Super Bowl.
And the halftime show, that's almost as anticipated as the game itself. There have been some legendary performances over the years.
It's like a mini concert featuring some of the biggest names in music. It adds another layer of entertainment to the whole Super Bowl spectacle.
It's incredible to think how the Super Bowl has transformed over time. It's so much more than just a championship game. It's a cultural touchstone, a shared experience that brings people together.
It reminds us that even in a world that can feel pretty divided sometimes, there are still moments that unite us.
Well said. And to everyone listening, if you've been enjoying our conversation about Super Bowl ticket prices and what makes this event so captivating, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We really appreciate your support.
It really highlights how powerful those shared experiences can be, even if it's something as simple as watching a game together.
Absolutely. And speaking of shared experiences, we were talking about how the Super Bowl is going mobile only for tickets. That's definitely shaking things up.
It really is. Makes you think about how technology is going to keep changing how we experience things like the Super Bowl in the years to come.
It's exciting to think about the possibilities. We're already seeing virtual reality and augmented reality becoming more common in the sports world.
Imagine watching the Super Bowl from home, but feeling like you're actually there in the stadium through VR, or maybe even interacting with other fans virtually during the game.
That would be wild. Technology could create even more immersive and interactive experiences for fans, even if they can't physically be at the game.
It's a pretty amazing time to be a sports fan, that's for sure. Who knows what the future holds for how we experience events like the Super Bowl, but one thing's for certain, the excitement and passion surrounding the game will always be there.
I think you're right about that. The energy is contagious no matter how you're watching.
Absolutely, and that's what makes the Super Bowl so unique. It's more than just a game. It's a cultural phenomenon, a conversation starter, and for many people, it creates memories that last a lifetime.
Well said. So there you have it, folks. Our look at Super Bowl ticket prices and what makes this event so captivating year after year. We hope you found this deep dive insightful.
If you did, be sure to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. It helps us out a ton.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. And remember, whether you're lucky enough to be at the game or watching with friends and family, soak in the energy and enjoy the Super Bowl for everything it represents. It's more than just a game, it's an experience.